There's just a single round of racing remaining in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series before the playoffs begin. And though the race for a championship is just on the horizon, no one can yet see it. There's two stories of Alabama banking blocking their view. It's a sold-out show tonight, with a couple having to watch from outside the fence as the last drivers vie for a spot in the 12-driver chase for the championship. Not one driver tonight is in total control of their own destiny, and they, like us, are just along for the ride in the HelloFresh 225. Hi, everybody. Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Connor Horn and Hunter Sleppy. Guys, welcome aboard. Connor, this is it. This is your last opportunity to qualify in to the playoffs for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series in a big way here at Talladega. You can make your dreams come true tonight, or you can have them shattered and turn the rest of the season into a nightmare.
Yeah, it could get pretty wild here tonight. We've already had two crazy races Monday and Tuesday that ended in tears for some and elation for others. Monday night, we saw the playoff cut line shift around a little bit. Jeremy Miller out to in, Ricky Springer in to out. But on Tuesday night, crazy race, crazy finish, but a different story. The top 12 who entered Talladega stayed in the top 12, so there was no changing around. We could have the same thing happen tonight, or we could see big shakeups in a few ways tonight as we look at our playoff picture. Scioli, Yaroshak, Nichols, Theory, and Richard Thomas locked in with the wins. John Furness, who's not here tonight currently, and Matthew Bell, who I don't know if I've seen tonight yet either. He might be here or not, but either way, they're locked in. They don't need the run if they don't want to. But then everything else, all bets are off. Cameron Hearn's only 28 to the good, nowhere near safe. Only that close to the cut line. Then Bowie and Greg Mitchell a little bit further above that cut line, but then it's really 11th to 13th onto where it gets wild with JT Poole, Travis Beckner, both up by a point over Clayton Montgomery. That is as close as it gets.
Yeah, Poole, Beckner, Montgomery, the three amigos, they're all separated by a point, and then you got to look on the outside in. Bryce Senesac, Munsel's been close this season. Nico Garcia, Garrett Grant, we got Robertson, Elwood, and Pierce all still vying for a spot. And then at the bottom of that, you see 23rd in the point standings. That's David Weishart. Now, he has a win this season, but you see that exclamation, well, not the asterisk. Has to be inside the top 20 in points to be locked in. And he's 14 points outside the top 20. So if he stays calm tonight and stays out of trouble, he should have a shot at making it inside the top 20, Kyle, and locking himself into the playoffs.
There are some drivers on this list that can make their way in just with a good points night. There are some that will need a win. But, Connor, as we've seen all week long, a win can save you. A top 5 can save you. But how can you guarantee that? This is such a challenging race just to finish, especially when we get down to the last 10, 15 laps. All week long, we had really intense racing most of the night, but it was mostly green. And then towards the end of the night, all hell breaks loose, and all of a sudden, drivers that could have or should have qualified in didn't make it. So how do you survive a night of racing at Talladega, especially the last 15 to 20 laps?
Well, a lot of hope and prayer goes into it at a track like this. There's no doubt about it. But really, it's all about running up at the front. I know I've done it a lot of my. I don't like calling it an iRacing career, but a lot of my time in iRacing, usually my strategy would be run at the back and just get to the front at the end. But these races get too hectic near the end to afford to do that. You have to be running up front in this race at all times, be able to have a chance to point in or win your way in. You will not be able to get back to front late in this race, mainly because those 3 lanes that we have at use at this track will clog up quickly, and they might wreck before you even get up there. You might be involved in a wreck before you get up there, so you have to be very careful and stay up at the front. If you have teammates, that's even better because you can kind of control the lanes with your teammates and stay in the front that way. But I think that's how you have to win this race, because we're not accustomed to too many yellows at this track all the time. We had no yellows in Season 3. We've only had a maximum of 3 yellows at this track that happened last season as well. Particularly green races usually occur here at this 85-lap race, but 3 of the 4 races, or even more than that, usually end in green-white checkered, so it makes it all that more important to stay up at the front in case you get caught on a green-white checkered.
Yeah, that's the key thing here as I'm looking through. Even with the green-white checkers and the caution-free race from Season 3, still remains the same, that the last lap is the most crucial lap because all the winners have made their move on the last lap in order to win the race. So it doesn't matter how many laps you lead, Kyle. Only matters leading that last one at the very end.
Yeah, they only effectively pay out the big points right at the end of the race. Here's JT Poole. You'll note that his number on the timing and scoring is highlighted in yellow. So here's how things are working tonight. If the drivers have a white number background, they are not currently locked in to the playoffs. They're also not currently above the cut line. If the driver has a green number background, they are locked. There's no way they can fall out of the playoffs. If they're in the yellow, they are above the cut line, but they are not locked. And JT Poole is one of those, and he is in by just the width of a hair by 1 point over Clayton Montgomery alongside Travis Beckner. And I hadn't seen Travis yet.
Not yet.
And so, there's at least 2 drivers going home. And if Travis doesn't get in here in the next 5 minutes, he won't be participating and won't make it into the championship.
Oh, no, going to a backup car is JT Poole. Yeah, don't see him in Discord yet either, so I'd be...
not here.
We just got... I won't beat her out. Huh.
So eliminates
that. Is tough.
And that will open up a spot in the playoffs for this guy, Clayton Montgomery, as far as points are concerned, but he's got to race his way in, just like about a dozen other people that are trying to go for that one spot.
You can't really settle on that either because you still have the looming David Weishart situation. He points himself into the top 20. He's in via that win. That would then bump Clayton out. So he's going to have to really race JT Poole hard here. If he outpoints JT, it's going to be hard for him to miss out on that playoff spot, but he has to be able to defend on a 33 and whatever happens with there, as we've got 4 minutes left to qualifying. And David Weishart, who is one of the go or go home cars, because we do have 45 entries, 2 will miss this race. Weishart's on the pole right now, so easily locked in, as we'll see what Connor Yurashak can do in his lap here. Hunter, he is on a tear right now. He's won 3 in a row. Incredible run to the front to win at Indy last week, and he's looking to tie an area Pro Series record set by Cameron Hearn with 4 straight wins.
Yeah, looking to do the impossible here, and at a racetrack like Talladega, it is very much impossible to continue that winning streak. I mean, like you said, we've got guys trying to vie for spots just in qualifying, let alone who knows what's going to be like during the race, but it's on the top of the timing sheet right now.
It's a great lap there for Connor Yurashak. He'll go right up to the top. And 33 drivers have qualified. John Furness has jumped in just in time to get a lap in. Casey Lakatos is on track, or about to be as well. Here's Jake Nichols in the number 73. And between Jake and Scioli and Yurashak, this is going to be a heck of a playoff run here these next couple of weeks. But I think everyone's going to try to snag one more win, Yurashak especially. But Jake Nichols and James Scioli, I'm certain, would love to have another one added to their tally before the playoffs start next week.
Yeah, the wins a little spread out, but those 3 have won 8 of the races this season. I believe that would be 8 of the 11 races this season. Scioli with 4, Yurashak the previous 3. Jake Nichols a little surprised maybe to some. Only 1 win this season, but he is the regular season points leader as he'll take to the apron on his fast lap. But so very consistent, 9 top 5s, 10 top 10s. Only the 1 win, but that consistency has kept him in the regular season points lead and will almost certainly give him the regular season title, pending as he goes top of the board, a little faster than Yurashak there, as Eric Wineland goes 4th. Great run for him. Scioli just starting his lap, I believe, but that 73 has been consistent all season long.
Yeah, consistency is the key, and Jake Nichols won pole last week, so he's looking to go back-to-back on the poles. And like you mentioned, he's got the driver's title to worry about, because if he has an issue tonight and Connor Yurashak doesn't, then it could be Yurashak's for the taking. And James Scioli, we see him 4 wins on the season. He's looking pretty good for the playoffs as he's rolling through 3 and 4. It's going to be interesting seeing how these guys stack up amongst some of the super speedway racers like Ryan Swan, who's currently 10th on the board. I'm actually going to go ahead and make him my pick because he's won in Season 2 and Season 4 at this track. And he's got a truck win here at this racetrack. So all of his career wins in area have come at this track, and I feel like he's going to have career win number 4 tonight.
James Scioli goes to a 54.412. That's good enough for 6th place. A few more drivers are finishing their qualifying runs. We'll cover those who get knocked out here in just a moment's time. But again, this is the HelloFresh 225. Looking to eat healthier in 2024 without having to spend extra money? HelloFresh is here to help. Choose from over 40 calorie-smart and protein-smart meal options each week. Each meal arrives pre-portioned, giving you less time to prep and more time to enjoy your meal. HelloFresh also gives you free breakfast for life with an active subscription. What are you waiting for? Click the link to get started with America's #1 meal kit today and use the coupon code to save 50% off your first box. You can do that on twitch.tv/area iRacing and put in exclamation point HelloFresh for more information. Race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, you'll have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. Qualifying continues here, guys, and Connor Bronson, Stafford, Spencer Brown, Bryce Senesac are the last couple of drivers to put their times in, and we'll see who gets knocked off the list. There are 45 drivers in, and 43 will race.
Yeah, Bronson Stafford, I believe, is locked in. with a charter, as he's going to end his lap with 10 seconds to spare, as he'll go 10th on the board, so great qualifying run for him. I don't know off the top of my head who's going to be out, as Spencer Brown goes 34th, another one who I believe is locked in. Brody Falliker, I don't believe he has a charter. Not sure what his scenario is, but we'll get it sorted out as qualifying's over. Two go or go homers as another race here tonight. This is going to be pretty dramatic. These Xfinity cars, Hunter, are so unstable at tracks like these. Even though it's 2.66 miles, it can be incredibly tough to navigate this track when you got someone beating and banging behind you. As we did get confirmation, our two go or go homers are Jeffrey Wilson and AJ Roderick.
Yeah, these cars, I'm excited for what this is going to show, because we saw 3 wide and 4 wide racing on Monday and Tuesday. Probably going to see the same on this race tonight on a Thursday. Really looking forward to seeing how these guys are going to work together, because some of these guys are going to go in with that solo wolf mentality where they're just going for themselves. And then some of these guys are going to be going for a team strategy where, hey, if I can't win, I want my teammate to win. And we all want to work in a collective effort to try and win this race somehow. So going to be seeing that. And if we get green flag pit stops, that will be an interesting challenge too. How will guys react trying to get on and off the pit road? Don't want to spin. We've had some incidents on pit road where some cars have made contact and cost them some time. So going to be interesting seeing how this one turns out tonight.
Got some onboard cameras. We have, of course, Eric Weinley. We've got JT Poole. We've got David Weishart, who'll be very intense trying to point his way in with the win that he's got that could lock him in to the playoffs. Of course, we've got Justin Munsell, as well as Travis Beckner has joined us. He has joined us all the way from the Hendry County Motorsports Park for the 5th annual Sugar Bowl. That's where he is right now. He's at work, and that's why he can't make it here tonight, guys, but he's still joined the Zoom, and he's got his flags in hand. There you see it. That's cool.
I'll take the flagman post over racing and iRacing any day of the week.
Yeah, you can't be too upset about that one, unfortunately. We'll miss you, Travis. Enjoy the show tonight, whether it's in the real world or here in iRacing, as there's a good look at Bryce Senesac, and we've also got Alan Elwood here. He's getting prepped and ready to go racing, taking the last sip here as we head down to the grid. So, Hunter, you made your pick already. Remind me if it was Ryan Swan?
Yes.
Yep.
Connor, who you got winning this thing?
Yeah, Swan has got a lot of wins at Talladega. I don't see that coming from him. My bias goes towards Jeremy Miller, starting 9th, but these races get so wild. Plus, I don't want to put bad luck on him in case that's a thing. But there's so many good contenders. I went with him on Tuesday, and he was fast. I'm going to go with him again, just Anna Sogak. He gets it done at these types of tracks. Very fast, very aggressive, but a controlled aggressive from the driver of the 88. I would not be shocked to see him go to victory lane, and he will be my pick, the number 88. Don't know where he is in the point situation, but he's actually 33rd, nowhere close. But going for wins, so that even strengthens my pick.
Yeah, looking around, there's a couple drivers I could pick and should pick, but I think the pick I'm going to go with is the 31 of Mason Kane. I think he's going to be up here all night tonight. He's really aggressive on these tracks. That can bite you, and that could bite me, but I'm going to give it a go with the 31 of Mason Kane here this evening. We're going to Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid going here in just a moment's time. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. You can use the discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. All right, I think it's about time to get rolling with that Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Kick things off with the front row. It'll be Jake Nichols in the 73. He's locked in, just focused on snagging another one tonight. Brad Slaughter Jr., I almost picked him. He rolls off second.
In the 3rd position, man who's won 3 in a row coming in tonight, looking for 4 in a row. Connor Yurashak starts 3rd. Mason Kane, the number 31, your pick, starts 4th.
And David Weishart rolls off in 5th place. He's got to make up 14 points on 20th place. If he can do that, he's in. Eric Wineland rolls off 6th in the number 66.
James Scioli, he's locked in, and he's had a great season, looking to go back-to-back in the Pro Series. He starts 7th in the number 7. Justin Munsell in the number 6 will start alongside him in 8th.
And 9th place is going to be Jeremy Miller in that number 30. That would have been a good pick. We'll see how he can do in that number 30 Toyota. Bronson Stafford rolls off 10th in the 61.
Garrett Grant in the number 5, his Ford Mustang is going to start in the 11th position. He needs a win tonight, and alongside him, JT Poole, who just needs good points.
And Greg Mitchell starts in 13th place in the number 2 Ford Mustang. Currently in, but is going to have to do some work to lock himself in. Delonte Ballard rolls off 14th in the number 21.
Brian Swan, third start of the season. At least three total wins at Talladega, 2 in the Pro Series. He starts 15th. Julio Villalobos Jr. starts 16th.
17th place is going to be Nico Garcia. The number 41, Nick Massey, rolls off 18th in the number 20.
Brendan Bowie, 17 to the good coming in tonight. He starts 19th position. He had a great run last week at Indy, and then 20th alongside him, the iRacing Camaro Jordan Martin.
And Ben Pierce in 21st in the number 65. And Justin Anisogak, a good pick in that 88. If anyone had him, he'll roll off E22.
E23, it would have also been a good pick because he won the season opener at Daytona. That's how he's locked in. Richard Thomas starts 23rd. Chris Rabel, he needs good points tonight. He starts 24th.
And the rest of the order is as follows as we roll through the banking in turns 3 and 4. 2 stories tall. Matthew Bell locked in, rolls off 28th. Clayton Montgomery could point his way in. He needs some assistance, I think, to do that. John Furness is locked in and good to go tonight in his number 28. Field's going to roll out of turn number 4. Pace cars will make that hard left onto pit lane. And as always, you got to mention at Talladega how far along the start-finish line is along the tri-oval. It gives everybody the opportunity to make a late move coming to the checkers. 43 cars are lined up, and it's Shane Therian all the way at the back of the field that will start at the rear. This race distance is 85 laps, 225 miles. Jake Nichols on the point. The last race of the regular season for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. Green flag flies, and we're racing at the big track in Talladega, Alabama. Lap 1 coming to a close. 2 orderly lines for the time being for about the front dozen or so. Brad Slaughter Jr. leading that outside group. Jake Nichols on the bottom with Connor Urashak pushing from behind.
Urashak was ready to go. He was on the 73's bumper before they even got to the start-finish line to start this race. So the 12's looking for 4 in a row. Jake Nichols, 2 of the title contenders at the front of this field as the 12 Urashak wants to middle. Slaughter didn't want to push him, but he's going to have to drop back now because Mason Kane went with Urashak.
Slaughter hung out to dry. Wiley going to go up and go back with A. Meanwhile, side-by-side for the lead still. Nichols on the bottom, Urashak on the outside. The top 2 in points are the top 2 on the track right now.
66 bailing to the back with the 8. Doesn't see the point in risking it this early. Casey Lakatos was outside. He's going to tuck back in. Still 2 by 2 here at the front. Nichols led the first couple of laps. Let's see what Urashak can do this time through. Yes, he will lead with a push from Mason Kane and Justin Munsell in the 6 riding behind.
Munsell and Stafford riding it behind. Really only 4 cars packed up on that top line as JT Poole tries to get a little closer. So Nichols and Urashak are going to settle in here and lead both these front lines, and we'll always wait for that third line to start popping up as we see on the back bumper of Munsell, all focused, even with a stuffed animal in the background, still very focused as he looks on Mason Kane, not wanting to push the pusher. It's smart, especially in these Xfinity cars. Very, very tough to do that and get away with it, as now we're starting to see that a little sparse third line form led by Brandon Bowie.
Bowie going to need a win to get in, and being deep in the points. He's got Anisogak pushing him and company behind. I believe that's Rabel and the 15 of Alex Bell.
Yes, indeed. Alex Bell's got a nice MWR throwback on that 15 car tonight as Urashak picks up the middle groove there and is bringing the 6 with him. I think that is the 61 of Bronson Stafford as well. And there's that 33. Again, Connor, I asked you the other night where you want to be. Do you want to be aggressive or do you want to kind of hang out towards the back? I think David Weishart has got to stay ahead of all the carnage tonight. As much track position as he can afford, he's got to stay up front and stay out of the carnage that could potentially happen. A little bit of a bobble back here between the 09 and the 50. I think they had a slight coming together, but they've sorted it out. Now 3 by 3, 10 rows deep.
This looks like old style NASCAR racing where there's 3 wide, but they're given a lot of room. It's smart to do, but I guarantee you, late in this race, they will stop giving that much room between all 3 lanes. But I think David Weisert's in the perfect spot. You run the bottom, you can really kind of navigate your destiny down there. You can't move up, so people keep stacking the bottom line and getting past you. You'll fall back a little bit, but as far as just riding for the time being, I want to be at the front and I want to be on that bottom line.
That's the way I would see it, as Poole readjusts his camera in the middle of this pack. He's in the eye of the storm right now. That middle lane, that is a lane that could be good, but most of the times it's bad, and we see Jeremy Miller go to the inside and let everyone else go by. But, I mean, Kyle, look at this racing. I don't blame him.
Yeah, this is a bit nerve-wracking for me. I know that they're 3 wide, and this track is wide enough to do it. It's not like Daytona where 3 wide is almost always a death sentence, but it does make me nervous because if anything goes wrong, you're going to take out 10, 15, 20 cars. Remember the race on Monday? We made it to lap 13. We very nearly had an Armageddon of crash down at turn 1, but somehow everyone kept it straight, but it split the race up to where we didn't have another caution for another 60 laps. I don't want to be in the middle of this right now, so if you are, I'll get the heck out of Dodge and go to the back, or if you're at the front, try to stay there.
I gotta say, I'm surprised. That is not like Jeremy Miller either. He kind of embraces the chaos at these super speedways. So if he's going to the back, it must be something brewing. This is some crazy 3-wide action. This is about, gotta be 20, 25 cars deep at this point. I mean, they are almost 10 rows deep 3 wide, and not a lot of drivers are lifting out, but drivers who just want to see the end of this race are. I know a lot of the Simrack market cars are at the back. Elwood, Richard Thomas, Nico Garcia, Clayton Montgomery, who is close on points, is back there as well. So we do have plenty of drivers kind of riding and thinking that something might be brewing here early on.
Yeah, that's the kind of group I'd want to be in for early on in the going. I want to be in the back pack that's about 3 seconds or so behind this main pack, because if there's trouble that brews right here, you're 3 seconds back, you're going to have enough time to check up and move out of the way or get your car woed down. But yeah, still 3 wide racing up here. Euroshak, Keen, and Munsell. Actually, no, not Munsell. Bowie leading each of their respective lanes down the backstretch.
See that 3 car of Ryan Hart's from 39th to 13th. He's on a mission. Another car is going to pull out a line there. That is one of the Toyotas. That's the 54 of Ryan Swan, I believe. He'll tuck out of the group. Brandon Bowie is going to nose ahead here, still 3x3. Very neat and orderly 3x3, though. It's not as wild as we saw it on Monday before it triggered that crash. But again, all it takes is one mistake. And we've seen a couple cars blink in and out. And that certainly is not something that makes you feel very good when you've got this much proximity to so many cars.
Yeah, when you're 3x3 here, you usually see these lanes pinching each other a lot more, but they're given, like, more, especially that top line, the very third lane led by Brandon Bowie, and Sogak, Rabel, Bell, others in that line. They're giving a lot of room, which is very respectful. It really pays off to pinch. That's why you see people pinching the lanes all the time, just because you kind of ruin their momentum and get yourself some more momentum, especially off the corners, but not doing that quite now, giving a lot of room. Just really, as long as they don't pinch like that, the only threat for a crash would be bumping wrong. And we saw that happen Tuesday night. Someone got on the left rear of the truck ahead of them, caused a crash.
Yeah, bumping wrong can go haywire at any given point during this race, at any given part of the racetrack. And it's something crucial here, especially with the amount of pack racing we're seeing. We got like 10 rows of 3 wide action. You got one bad bump from anywhere, whether it's up front, the middle, or towards the back of this pack. So at least 5 or 6 cars are going to get caught up in it and could be terminal damage on their vehicles.
Yeah, almost the entire field is within 3 seconds right now, and the vast majority of it is within about 1.5 seconds. That's way too close for me. Way too much proximity for comfort. Even if you're at the tail end of this big pack, you won't be able to get stopped because there's a bit of a bobble there on the bottom, but still very even here amongst all 3 rows. What we're learning, Connor, is it doesn't seem like there's a prevailing line of these 3. That's a note for later.
It really depends on where the momentum is. Right now, Euroshak kind of wiggled off the yellow line off the bumper of Jake Nichols and kind of lost the momentum for the bottom line. These top 2 lines able to get 1 car clear of that bottom line, but now the middle line kind of fizzles out a little. Mason Kane gets clear for the race lead. Now he's going to start blocking, do a little bit of controlling of the lanes. We saw a lot of that Tuesday night with the Miller Racing teammates. Mason Kane might be trying to do a similar thing right now, but it's hard to block 3 lanes at once, as now that top lane has lost that crucial momentum as Bowie starts to fall back a little bit, and these bottom 2 lanes have the momentum and jolt forward.
Yeah, and he made the smart move there, Kane did, going back to the bottom. You don't want to get caught up in a pickle situation where you're in the middle of 2 lanes and then you're getting caught in the sucker hole, especially at this part of the race where could be 4 wide in that sucker hole, but Unfortunately, Kane drops down low. Munsell still on this outside, going to edge out for the lead in the 3 with Stafford and Weaver behind pushing.
One of the things I'm noticing is that there's only 4 drivers in the top 10 that are above the cut line in the playoffs. The other 6 are all representatives of those that could either win and get in or are just outside the cut line and could point their way in. 6 of the top 10 are on the outside looking in, and they're playing the game to be aggressive. They're not going to sit around and be idle. You can't really control your own destiny, but you can nudge it in the direction you'd want here, Connor, but that's about it.
I would say so for sure. That's about all you can do at controlling your destiny, and we're going to see some drivers do that. Some drivers just take a back seat and let Talladega kind of dictate how this race is going to go. This track always claims some drivers. You know, call Darlington the track too tough to tame. Dover, the monster mile. This is the real monster. This track, big, wide, fast, and flat out dangerous. So anything could happen at any point. Those drivers just above that cut line and far below it needing a win are going to have to be riding on that thin edge tonight. So many drivers already are, as we are 10 full laps, almost 11 full laps green here, 3x3 action.
Yeah, the pack has dispersed a little bit. I think Brody Falger back in 23rd or 24th. It's around where that main pack ends, and then everyone starts to fizzle out single file on the outside or inside. But here on the board with the 6 of Justin Munsell. He's got a mirror full of Stafford pushing him to the lead, and it looks like those two are going to go down low in front of the 31 of Kane.
Didn't look like Kane wanted him to slot in there, but Stafford forced it to happen. There's the 62 of Weaver and the Coca-Cola Camaro going to the middle of the racetrack as they rocket off at turn 2 and down the super stretch here at Talladega. 3x3, and that must be 7-8 rows deep now as Alex Weaver gets a push from Ryan Hartz, who started in the second to last row of this field.
We've seen a lot of drivers with no playoff implications at the front. Alex Weaver's not in a position to point in, even with a win. And Sogak, the same scenario. Chris Rabel's far back. So a lot of the drivers in any playoff situation right now are just kind of biding their time. Some of them are at the front, but a lot of others just riding right now as we have one driver blink. Might have been Weaver, but seeing a lot of the drivers who have nothing to lose at the front right now early on.
Yeah, the 3 of Hearts going to the lead in the middle lane. He might have been blinking too. He blinked a little bit before the race started, but that's kind of summed up his season. Had an unfortunate error last week with internet and kind of taken him out of the playoff contention so far. But going back here with Alan Elwood, he snuck inside the top 20 in points over the last couple of weeks. If he wins tonight, he's in. But he needs that win to get in.
He's got his water bottle in front of his camera, but look at the field ahead, Connor. This is the nightmare scenario when if you can run like this the entire race, and we've seen it happen, and you see that field ahead of you, it's so hard to move forward and get track position, but it's so hard to pick your way through there without a couple of friends to help you. So, sometimes the drivers will hope that if they're going to hang out in the back, the luck of the draw will clear the way for them towards the end of this race. Now there's no one locked in to the playoffs in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, and it's starting to really you kind of spread apart a lot too. We're seeing a lot more drivers just kind of ride on the bottom line. I'm noticing a lot of the DWR cars are on the bottom now. Connor Yurchak dropped out the previous lap because I think everyone's seeing something happening that's not good. But you are absolutely right. Riding at the back like that, you see all that stacked up in front of you. It is hard to move forward past that. When you're riding like this, at this point, you're not really anticipating having to drive up through it. You're really just waiting for that crash to happen and hoping you're avoiding it.
Dane Abbey, big moment off the nose of Steve Durham there down the back straightaway. That could have been bad, but he managed to wrestle it back into submission and continue on.
Very tight stuff. That's one thing. These are probably the worst cars to have to bump draft in. Cup cars are a little scary too because you have to bump on the left rear to be fast, but these Xfinity cars so unstable, no downforce whatsoever. One wrong bump, not in the middle of the bumper, and you're going sliding. And the tire wear, it's not going to affect the cars too much at this big track, but it will play a factor, especially entering the corner. We've seen it all the time where if you get a bad bump entering the corner, you could easily get turned sideways, and that could cause a big crash as well. Probably the worst place to have a crash happen here is entering the corner. We've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, that is a nightmare scenario. If you're in the pack and you see a wreck come out in front of you, your main thing is to go low. But if you're heading towards a turn, that's going to bring a couple of challenges its way, whether it's in turn 1 or heading into turn 3. But there you see the 33 of Weissart has to play it safe. Remember, he entered this race just a few points outside the top 20. If he finishes inside the top 20 with his win earlier this season, he's locked into the playoffs.
And I like being on the bottom to stay out of trouble because you can make that hard left and miss somebody. If you're up on the top side and the crash starts to happen on the corner entry like Connor suggested, it just turns into a snowplow of race cars shoving the snowbank up the hill into the outside wall. You're just trapped. The middle groove is the worst of both worlds. I like the bottom because I can turn left and miss it all.
Especially if you're on the back straight, you got all that room down there, but even in the turns, you got the apron. Might have to go off-road into grass, but I think it is the better spot to be in early on, but it's a risk versus reward. You get no risk on the bottom, really, as someone got way sideways at the back of the top line. I think that was, looked like Nick Massey. He got sideways, saved it, but, you know, if you're on the bottom, you're not going to go forward, but you can avoid easier. If you're on the top side, or even if you're on the top side, you're not going to avoid anything, but you'll go to the front probably. Middle lane, like you said, you don't really want to go there to go forward. It's usually the sucker hole, but it's holding up pretty well, led by JT Poole as he's going to work right now. Munsell on the apron, but yeah, definitely you got to pick your poison depending on how you want to run this race, as we're 16 and a half laps through.
And this race did go caution-free back in Season 3, and it has opportunity to do so in Season 5 as Poole drops low. Bowie going to go to the middle. Think about it. Might go back up and get help from Manasogak, but yeah, this race can go green, and this does. Connor, when do you expect to see green flag pit stops happen?
Well, I don't think they're going to make it to 42. It's going to be, well, you know, looking at the fuel numbers I'm looking at right now, it might be possible to get to that halfway point of this race, which would be about 42, lap 43. So we might see all these drivers try to make this one stop work. I'm kind of surprised, looking at what I'm looking at, that the fuel might be able to get to that 42 range, because we did not see that happen Tuesday night with the trucks with a similar fuel cell as Bowie splits Poole in the middle. But I think if you want to try a two-stop, you're going to be pitting next 10 laps, 5-10 laps, but that might not be the case tonight.
They haven't had any yellows to break anything up or give a fuel-saving opportunity yet either, so something to keep in mind. We've been flat out for the last 18 laps, and we saw on Monday and on Tuesday that, you know, once the early wrecks were out of the way, we ran a majority under green, and that was with a much less chaotic start to this one as Munsell goes to the point and throws the block on the 26 of JT Poole. But yeah, I mean, we could get a caution at any moment. I just don't expect these races to get a lot of them in a rapid succession until the end.
It's really not common at this track to have yellow after yellow. At the very end, yeah, we might see that, but these races typically have at least one period of the race where we see green flag racing as Poole makes a big move to the top in front of the 23 of Bowie. This is usually a race that we see green flag running, but it only takes one incident to really split this field up and really take some drivers out of it, as now we're starting to see, we still see about probably 8-9 rows of 3 wide, but you look at the back, a way longer single file line led by, I think, Jeremy Miller, who's at the very front of all the single file cars not battling.
Yeah, look at all that. Look at that line of cars. It's a conga line behind this main pack. Everyone running the bottom, all on the same page. Meanwhile, in front of them, it's still about 8 rows of 3 wide action with Munsell leading the way. Weaver, Poole, Hartz, and Stafford your top 5.
That conga line is a safe place to be. Gives you some options, and you're just clicking away laps. But if you want to lead laps, you want to dominate this race, you got to do what JT Poole is doing and be aggressive out the gate. You know, it does feel like, you know, when we're missing guys like Travis Beckner in a race like this, you are going to miss some of your energy that someone like Travis would create around him. Not necessarily good or bad, but just energy. And JT's bringing some of that to the table at the moment. He has not been holding back and controlling these lanes out front here in the 26.
Yeah, Beckner's a big loss of aggression for sure, but JT Poole does pick up where the 27 would have left off for sure, as Dana Sogak made a big move, another one who knows aggression here. He made a big move top to the bottom, an elevator move to take the lead away for the moment. But yeah, JT Poole and Sogak, those guys will pick up the missing pieces of aggression, because Beckner's very aggressive as well. These guys know, like I talked about earlier, a little bit of a controlled aggression you need at tracks like these. The 88 has that very well. JT Poole maybe a little bit more of an erratic aggression that could throw things off, as we'll look at that move for the lead that the Anna Sogak machine made right here. Just clear Munsell, and decided he was just going to take it.
2016 nationwide colors on the 88, represented from Dale Earnhardt Jr., a driver familiar with running well at this racetrack. 6 wins here. And Sogak looking to add his name to the winners list at this racetrack. Best finish of 5th back in the Truck Series, but looking to win here in the Pro Series, as back in the lead is JT Poole in 26.
I don't know that I've said.
Blinked out.
I'm not sure that I've said the term this week. Maybe once on Monday, but Jacob Bell said, "Have we even had a real that term this week?" And I don't want to speak it into existence, but I think an incident of that stature, let's say, at the end of the race, I don't think counts. I think it has to be somewhere between lap 1 and the second to last lap. Those last lap messes don't really count as,
He's gonna try to find every term possible to not say it. It will get said eventually. We're starting to see it more dispersed. I'm starting to wonder if, because the fuel might be close, I'm starting to wonder if that single file line knows something maybe these front guys don't, because they're starting to drop off even a little bit more as this top line, this top pack gets a little bit more sparse, a little bit more squirrely on the bottom line at that. But might be a lot of drivers back there who are trying a different strategy.
Yeah, interesting to see as we're coming up on lap 24, the completion of lap 23. Still some interesting racing here up front inside the top 10, but they're starting to get a little more spread out outside the top 15 or so.
Yeah, keeping our eyes on that secondary pack. Like I said, they've got options because they're back there in the tow. They're back there as a group. They can slow down. They can afford to speed up and slow down and kind of modulate their pace. All the while, if you want to remain in this 3-wide pack, you kind of have to race by its very nature. As soon as you back out, you're just going to end up at that second pack. So the people that are up front right now are the ones that want to race, and others in the back are just waiting for an opportunity a bit later to turn up the afterburners at the moment. That outside line's only 4 cars, but man, Brandon Bowie has been strong up there, hasn't he?
He's led pretty much the entire time, and it's really been Chris Rabel behind him the entire time. He's done a good job controlling their temps up there because the guys on this high line have been pretty much the same. Chapman's been there as well. So they're doing a good job maintaining right now, and they haven't really fallen off for the last 20 laps or so since they went up there. As you say that, they do fall back a little bit, but they keep coming back every single time this happens. Plus, when you get someone in the third line to help and get in front of Bowie, that puts less pressure on the 29 and helps him out a little bit. As still seeing the majority of the same drivers at the front, the 6, the 26. Monte Ballard's found his way up to second in line in the middle, which is a good run for him. Billy Yopos right behind him. John Furness has made his way through as well. I haven't talked about him yet either. Very fast last week. Started 32nd. He's up in the top 10.
Bryce Senesek, though, now running 16th. He's fallen outside the top 12 over the last couple of weeks after poor results coming from Indianapolis with 29th. And his best finish this season has been 11th 3 times. That came at Homestead, Roval, and Dover. And going back to Daytona, if I go back, his finish was 16th. So Senesek looking to get some points here and possibly a win to earn himself a playoff spot. But yeah, it's kind of been a downward spiral over the last few weeks for the 09. Looking to change that here tonight.
Munsell drifting off that yellow line just a touch. JT Poole comes up to block an advance from Ryan Hartz. He'll control that middle groove for a moment. Connor, you mentioned earlier crashes that happen off into the corner. Just like Daytona, though, this is also a place where you can see crashes on the straightaways.
We've seen it all the way. We've seen it a lot as well. We almost saw it earlier with Steve Durham almost turning someone on straightaway just because the bumpers are so hard to line up sometimes. Very squirrely, especially as the rear tires wear out because you have someone on your bumper a lot. So you got to be careful of that. Got to be centered. And, we see it all the time. People switching lanes down a straightaway as well because they think it's the safest place to do so. That can cause incidents as well. To get all that straightaway to work with, sometimes it's a little too much for drivers to comprehend. So that's something to look out for as well.
Well, it's just side-by-side racing up here for the front. Still got some 3-wide action with Bowie fading outside the top 10 or right around that 10th spot, but just him and Rabel on that outside. Everyone else has kind of gone to the middle, or most of the field has gone towards the bottom. Still got some guys here trying to chop it up for Lee. Got Poole and Hartz on the outside with Munsell and Sogak on the bottom. Then that third corner line on the outside, Delonte Ballard. Don't think we've talked about him yet, but he's having a good run tonight inside the top 5. Then right to his outside, here comes the 23 of Bowie back.
Yeah, Bowie's got a bit of a push here from Rabel, and I think Senesek has jumped up there as well.
Whoa. Man, if 78 had a moment there, entering the corner. I don't know what happened, but he really got sideways for a moment, kept it straight, as that kind of, I think it scared the top line out of the run they had, but getting to that point where into the corner, those rears are going to be lighting up if you make too big of a turn into the corner.
JT drops to the inside at turn 1, doing a nice job controlling this field so far. He's led 8 laps. It feels like he's been up here for longer than that, but he's just been very selective about when he's making moves and when he's okay dropping in behind somebody else.
Very calculated. It's one thing, you can have blind aggression, but you have to be smart about the moves you make. Like if he pulled to the outside before the 88 was up there was no one behind him. If he pulls to the outside, he jogs back. So you got to make very smart moves to stay at the front, because one wrong move, you're either wrecked or you're getting sent to the back of this conga line that's going even further back to the very back of this pack at this point. So you got to be smart to stay up at the front, as we're still 43 cars strong in this lead pack. No one's lost the draft, from the leader, JT Poole, all the way back to Nico Garcia, who's sat 43rd place pretty much all race.
Started 17th, worked his way towards the back, and Poole being up front and continuing to lead laps, this helps him quite a bit because he's going to look for every bonus point that he can, going to want to have a clean race and going to want to lead the most laps. And as soon as I say that, here comes, looks like Ryan Hartz to the inside, was there, but Poole is still leading the way, and he's looking to lead the most laps and get as many points as he can to give him that cushion to being possibly in the playoffs.
Would certainly be helpful. 2 by 2. Bowie's still fighting the good fight, but really for everyone from, let's see, is that Mason Kane? Shane Abbey on back 20th to 43rd is all single file, and ahead of 20th we got double and triple file. So there's still definitely 2 distinct groups trying 2 distinct strategies here, Connor, but we're closing in a lap 31 next time by. And then we'd be about 10 laps from that pit sequence that you mentioned earlier, should they be able to go that halfway distance.
You would think they haven't pit now. I mean, if you could still consider a 2-stop, but I think you would have seen a lot more of controlled pit stops and teams pitting already, so I'm led to believe people can make it. It might be a little closer for the front runners, but I gotta believe those drivers single file are gonna be in a great field position to lengthen this run as long as they can and just have nothing to save for this final run as long as we get there. So you got to get to that lap 42, lap 43 range to really, as I say that, we're going to see some pit stops early here. Looks like Munsell, not Hartz, Justin Munsel's going to lead them in.
Oh, and Joey Chapman
missed it.
is out of the pit lane area. And he might have missed that
penalty.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
That was the first bunch. That was about maybe 10 to 15.
And it was kind of a late decision, it looked like. And just kind of locked it up behind Munsell and had to go straight to miss him, and goes right over the cone there.
Yeah, I gotta believe.
And he just rolled right through.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That was about 11 cars. As that's the first bunch to peel off. Might seem more, but it's a little early if you're trying a 1-stop. I led to imagine that they're probably going to do an extra stop regardless if drivers can make it or not, and we'll see if they can make up time doing that, as they're going to have to get formed up pretty quickly, or else the lead pack could very well swallow them up, because they're putting a fast pace down right now.
Yeah, with the green flag run we're having, you don't want to have a mistake on pit run. That's what Chapman just did, and if we don't get a caution, then his race is screwed, but he's going to need a quick yellow to come out and fix that for him. But we still got a good bit of drivers that have yet to pit or make a pit stop, but we'll see if anyone else has any issues coming along, as the 6 and the 61 are 2-car tangoing, as the rest of the cars that came down pit road trying to close in.
Keep an eye on those lap times on the left-hand side of the screen, as we'll give them a lap or 2 to catch back up, and you'll kind of see where the speeds are found. On Monday, that was a really good way to make up time, was to pit a little earlier and then pit with a group that you trusted, and you could make up a boatload of time on everybody else. That was an interesting battle to watch. Who's that dropped out of line?
Nico
41.
Garcia.
Nico Garcia going a lap
Lost
down.
his pack.
Yep.
Another mistake. Talking about can't make your mistake. Can't make a mistake, or else you're going to be in a bind. Now he's probably going to be fighting others for a lucky dog eventually, because he was sitting. That's kind of the risk of sitting 43rd place. If you pit from back there, you don't get formed up with anyone, you're pretty much out of it. So that's the risk of laying back. That's why if you're going to lay back, you don't want to be at the very back of the line because that could happen very easily. Even if you don't make a mistake, that could happen. As Steve Durham, a little squirrely on the bottom, but he's found his way into the top 10. As we'll see, lap 33, if anyone wants to come down this time. Doesn't quite look like it.
It'll be interesting to see one of the cars in front of Garcia come down pit road because he is on that bottom lane, and guys in front of him, they have yet to make a pit stop, so it'll be interesting to see if he moves out of the way before they get off turn 4 or right when they're getting off turn 4 and on the pit road.
I think what he's hoping for is that he can find some pace in this pack, and then when they pit, anyone that has a penalty or is a straggler of this group, he can rejoin and then hopefully eventually catch the pack again. But that's going to be a whole race endeavor, especially, Connor, since when we split these races by green flag stops, we tend to go green for a very long time. I didn't think we were going to go 34 straight laps, especially with how crazy the first 10 or 15 were, but here we are. And once you make that pit stop, we can probably almost guarantee another 10 to 15 without a yellow, provided everyone gets onto and off of pit lane smoothly.
Looks like no more stops this time. JT Poole, no help, but he'll go to the outside for second as the front line got very spread out because of the move Rabel and Bowie made to the bottom. Left Rody Falliker out, but Poole get the push from the 88 and likely stay side by side for this lead. Quick to note, Joey Chapman rolled through his pit box. He did not get a black flag for that pit entry, which was surprising to me. But the problem is he rolled through, I think, anticipating a black flag. Now it didn't come, and now he's likely to surely go a lap down, and he still has to make his stop.
That's tough.
What is he on track? Is he 40th?
He's 33rd currently, I believe. Still multiple seconds in front of that pack that did make their pit stops, but he will still have to take fuel and probably hoping for a yellow at this point just to get back even and not go a lap down, as 35 laps about to be complete and the front 32 or so have still yet to come down. This is when NASCAR fans are up in arms like, they're going single files and boring.
They're just clicking off lap. Well, I yell at them all the time. I'm like, you're getting paid to entertain and you're doing this, but then I totally understand as a driver why you'd be doing this. But the other thing to mention, guys, is that in the past, we've seen crashes happen around the pit stop sequences because people come slamming on the brakes out of turn 4, on the racing line, that sort of thing. But everyone's kind of in the same boat right now, and they're all kind of cooperating together. They're in one single file groove. It's not like we're in a group of 3 and 4 wide and all trying to hit pit lane. That's when you get those tricky challenges of merging off of the racetrack. So everyone's in the kind of the same boat. I think we'll see everyone kind of cooperate and work as a unit in theory. But maybe the next time down pit lane, which will probably be with about 10 laps to go late in the race after a caution, I don't think they're going to work together so much then.
Definitely not. As long as they can get their fuel number to make it on only the one stop, the co-opetition will be coming out the window at that point as we get on camera on the ground. That's how strong those cars are, rumbling through turns 1 and 2. But yeah, you'll definitely see crazy battling once everyone knows they're good to go and will make that number. As looking at the times of the drivers that pit, the drivers that didn't, mainly 51.3s and 51.4s from the pack led by Justin Munsell. The lead pack is faster than that in a full single file line, so if they have to make an extra stop, plus they're losing time to this lead line, it's not going to bode well whatsoever for any sort of track position.
Still no more takers coming down pit road this time, and this got Furness now leading the outside lane with the 41 of Garcia looking to get his lap back.
Oh, big wiggle from Garcia there, but kept it straight. This is going to be the Bill Elliott strategy, except Bill Elliott did it 2 times, getting his lap back in 1. But the only issue I see with going long is if everyone pits on the same lap, you're going to have 30 cars on pit road at the same time, Kyle, and that spells a disaster.
There are a lot of times I like running the same track in the same week because it's easier for me, but it's also harder to remember what happened when. I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, but one of the packs on one of those races came down as a unit together, but it was too many, and they all kind of got crossed up. There was people spinning on pit lane and running into each other. There is a max number of cars that I want to be pitting with, and it's like 5 to 7. I don't know if I really want many more than that because it just gets too busy and you end up slowing yourself down. So that's a great point. You also spend a lot more time looking in your mirror on the brakes on the entrance to pit lane, and it opens up opportunity for you to make a mistake.
I know we had Eric Wineland. He was an Instant Tuesday night. I'm not sure if there was another one Monday night. There wasn't with my group on Monday night for sure. But there's so much that goes into your pit entrance. You have to, the drivers who qualified at the back, as John Furness takes the lead, the drivers that qualified at the back, you have to go low to the bottom. You have to let it be known that you have an early stall so you can go to the very bottom. The drivers who start at the front will have later stalls. They stay closer to the yellow line, but below that yellow line. You have to calculate everything perfectly, know where everyone's going, know where your stall is. You miss your stall, you can't chop anyone off, or else you're going to wreck someone. There's so much that goes into a perfect pit sequence, and I'd say the max is about 10. As long as but you can't do any more than that. It just becomes crazy, and you end up having multiple cars crashed as Justin Sogak calls over the radio that he will come this time by, and this is a little before halfway.
Going to be on the brink of completing lap 40 for Anna Sogak, and it's going to be interesting to see how many more of these guys are going to come down pit road, because like you said, if all 30 of these guys come down pit road, not a chance that'll go through cleanly. Something's going to have to give here unless they split them up.
Nico Garcia fighting for his lap back. He's got it for a moment. But the field comes out of turn 4. We're going to see a handful hit pit lane. And yeah, Rabel's going to come down and a whole bunch of others.
6.
Including JT Poole. And that's a good group size. I like that size. And they're from a couple different places in the pack too, so I don't think they'll lose each other. But that was shy of halfway by 2 or 3 laps.
Now the only mistake you can't make is miss your stall. JT makes it, although he completely locked up. Chapman came down as well. He'll come out in front of those, but we should see a lot more come down. I got to believe that the fuel is going to be incredibly tight at this point as John Furness is getting a shove from Nico Garcia head of the pack. Ryan Hart's just kind of following through. Got the top 5 strung out away from Alex Weaver. And Steve Durham had the fight to get down. I got to believe he's coming down as well.
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's see, Swan, Kane, Steve Durham, Lakatos in the back also. Another 4.
Oh, lockups for a couple of those cars, but they got it slowed down.
Not Lakatos, that was Spencer Brown.
Ah, yes.
Someone ran out of fuel, I heard. Someone ran out of fuel entering. It was Steve Durham. I was wondering why the pack checked up. The one ran out and almost caused a stack up there.
So if they're almost out of fuel, this group is going to have to pit this time by, which conveniently is just the smidge before halfway, Connor.
I got to say, if they're that close, they're going to have to save a lot more on the second run, which means the drivers who pit early are going to be an even bigger bind, as looks like Furness is going to come down because I'm sure he looked like he called it. Nico Garcia is going to be on the lead lap for a few moments on his own, as we'll see a lot more, and this is going to be the biggest pack so far.
Furness is on. That was a very late commitment from the 28.
Oh, Weaver, big sideways moment getting into his box.
Oh, he went through about 2 or 3 of them.
Everyone else
straight
gets down there all right. Now, did the 3 miss his box?
Ooh,
yes,
I think he did. Yes, sir. He started 39th. And that's what happens. You have an early stall. You got to be ready to get to the bottom and come down.
Yeah, and he did not get there, so that will burn the 3 quite a bit. And he's coming. He's out of fuel. He's had to stop, and that's might be night over for the 3 Ryan Harts.
That is a mistake you cannot make, Hunter.
No, that's going to cost him the race if he doesn't come back.
Everyone else. Majority.
Oh, look out! Euroshack. Oh, Miller.
Jeremy Miller. Oh, he's going to spin back on pit road.
Oh, they're going to miss him.
Man.
That was exciting.
Gosh dang it! Why'd I have to be Jeremy?
Eric Wineland didn't even flinch at that.
Look out! Oh, Skyler's gonna have to let him in, and everyone else gets in cleanly. Euroshack barely overshot his box, and looks like the only one with a penalty will be the 30 of Miller.
Have a look on the SimRat Market replay, and got in there really hot. I think also, if you look back, the 12 and the 73 almost got together. Euroshack came in there with a big head of steam and actually did hit the 73.
Yeah, but it was Miller all on his own, just a little bit too hot. He was kind of the first one in this line and just kind of got caught being the guinea pig of all that is
Grant.
come out. Garrett Grant
By
is all on his
himself,
own.
but he went a lap longer than everybody else. Maybe that's critical later, but he might get trapped in a bad spot as far as the pack is concerned. Meanwhile, the pack, speak of, JT Pool's leading it, and they're coming back together.
Everyone's going to come back together here as it's really going to shuffle things up. That pack that went the longest is going to be at the near back of this line. It's going to give the lead back to the guys who pit a little earlier, but might be in a worse fuel situation. Guys like Anna Sogak, JT Pool, Justin Munsell, who was one of the early pitters as well. So we're going to have crazy fuel strategies with some drivers, and we're going to see some drivers just going for it completely. Look at the move Furness is making at the very back. He had a huge head of steam, but he's just going to settle in on the back as looks like Munsell looking for the lead potentially. He's going to get the lead as Garrett Grant exits with no help. Is kind of like how it was before pit stops, the 6 and the 26 and the 88 as well out front there.
A little more separation now in the packs as Munsell still in on the outside. Pool on the bottom coming through in the picture with the 23 of Bowie behind. And the Sogak going to give a little shove to the 6, but Bowie going to give an equal shove to Pool.
Just gotta watch that.
Jeremy Miller, is he out of fuel? He's coasting.
Yeah,
Yep.
engine's off. Wow. Gone from bad to worse, huh?
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
Maybe in the chaos
Maybe
of
when
him spinning, he just didn't realize he had unchecked it or something of the sort.
Possibly. What in the world? Where is Justin Munsell's rear bumper?
Yeah, I don't know if that is legit or not. Is that showing up on your end as well?
Yeah.
Oh.
What in the world? How does that happen?
the rumor
88's
on
beating it
pit
off so
road-
badly.
The rumor on pit road is that when he made his pit stop, the team took off the rear bumper to make more money or to give the 6 a better advantage on the racetrack, but that could be a reason why the bumper is missing.
Well,
It could really slow you down. I feel like I've seen in
Yeah.
iRacing a lot of times that will just completely slow you down. It doesn't seem like it's hurting him too much, but you kind of want that on the car.
the thing that makes it tricky is that the bodywork, you can kind of hook on it easier. It's much harder to push a bumper like that than it is to push one that is in stock form. So that's not a good thing for Munsell, but with the 88 committed behind him, it doesn't seem to be holding him up too bad. Brandon Bowie bounced off the apron there on the entrance to turn 1. But JT Pool, how about him? He has been in command of this thing so far. Just been doing a nice job controlling lanes, and he's not throwing huge blocks when it's not working out. But we'll see how long he can keep this up for. He's led a bunch of laps, and a win would certainly propel him deeper into the playoff hunt rather than just on the edge.
Yeah, definitely could be a big deal if he could get this done, but he has been one of the most aggressive drivers, and he's been one of the fastest drivers as Danny Ware gets a little out of line there. 26, he's done a great job tonight, and it's, this is not really a track you would want to look for to gain momentum, but you'll take it any day of the week. You're running at the front at a track like this, and not by luck either. He's been controlling these lanes. That's exactly what he wanted to do to point your way in. Meanwhile, the other side of things, David Weishart, I don't know if that's smoke coming out of the ears because he's upset or what, but 23rd place, he needs big points to point in with that win he got earlier in the season, but might just be riding. He was one of the later drivers to come pit road and might just be saving a little bit more at this point because he's seeming pretty content to stay at the back in this line.
Yeah, that's smoke coming out of his exhaust, not from in the car virtually. That's from in the basement.
Yeah.
I would assume that's where his setup is.
Yes.
Yeah, he hasn't even led a lap yet. That's one thing I would have liked to have clicked off is just a lap lead point. That he could have helped himself by leading all the laps, but or as many as he could. But JT Pool has been a bit more aggressive than the 33 tonight, and that's this two-story tale that David Weishart has to play tonight. How aggressive do you get? Because on one hand you need to play it safe, on the other hand you need points. And if he's got to finish top 20, he's still outside of even accomplishing that. So work to do in the next, we got 36 laps or so.
You got plenty of time to do it, but we talk about it all the time. Once that third lane gets clogged up, you got nowhere to go at this track or any super speedway. So you need to be one of the first up there, but you need to be in a position not only just make sure you're good on fuel, but you need to be in a position closer to the front where you can lead that line or be at least close to the front of that line. So we're going to have to see drivers making some moves to get closer in the next probably 15 to 20 laps. You'll start to see drivers try to make moves to get closer to the front, because this will be the race for the lead. There's some drivers in this line that I don't think will be even close to making it, but you're going to see some drivers who are a little bit more confident start to try to work their way towards that front.
So we're crossed to lap 50, and that brings us to our Sim Rep Market question of the day. Will we see a caution in this race?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think everyone that needs to pit again is going to bank on getting it before they need to come back down pit lane. That's what I would be doing. I mean, statistics tell you.
Don't cause it.
Maybe not in this series,
Whoa.
but statistics will tell you that you'll get a yellow at about the 70% mark of the race, and then you'll get a bunch of yellows from there on out.
There was a big stack up at the very back of the line. I'm not sure what happened. Brad Slaughter got sideways. Skyler was on the apron, and they lost a lot of time doing that. But it seems like everyone kept it straight. Skyler's got right rear damage out of it.
Watch this. Watch the 8 following the 15.
See what happened.
Right
Oh, look at the stack up. You could see it forming.
Yeah,
And they get-
Euroshack
Yep,
and
right there.
started right with Euroshack and Jordan Martin.
Kind of what happens when you have a lot, excuse me, but that's kind of what happens when you have a lot of single file back there. Those stack ups get much, much worse.
Well, that was our SimRat Market question of the day. How about this? Make sure you head over to simratmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple and easy to use, so it keeps you more focused out the windshield on the racetrack. Simratmarket.com. The energy's building again a bit here.
You have to see that third lane reform. I think there's a lot more drivers trying to be calm and maybe even save some fuel, because no one's really going up there right now. Just a Munsell, no rear bumper, no problem. Those two still tandeming, but a lot more drivers in the single file line now. I think we're starting to see kind of a shift, Hunter. I think drivers are seeing that fuel window, not that fuel number, not liking it and getting single file.
Oh, yeah, it's getting back to that old choo-choo train formation. Everyone goes on the bottom or outside, and they just all go in one lane, and they just try to make it home to the finish. Don't want to get too aggressive with their strategy, because, yeah, some of these guys looking at their fuel gauge are like, oh, this could be a problem.
There's one driver that I know is good. He's a long ways out of the hunt, and it's Garrett Grant. Remember, he pit on lap 44, so he's more than good to the end on fuel, but he's 8 seconds back of this pack, and he's losing half a second a lap, so that's not going to go well for him, despite him being in a very strong position in terms of fuel.
That likely won't work out for them, as a lot more spread out now. 36 lead lap cars in the lead pack, and then you got all your stragglers like Grant and Alex Weaver, like Bryce Senesac, who hooked up with Jeremy Miller after his whatever happened there. And even further back, you got Nico Garcia, still lead lap, but 40th place. And then you got everyone still running, but 3 drivers laps down. Ryan Hart's in position for the Lucky Dog currently. Jeremy Miller and Joey Chapman are both 2 laps down.
You saw the 6 of Munsell go to the lead. Now, that's big because he's inside the top 20 in points, but he's outside the top 12 in points, so he needs a win to get in. Meanwhile, JT Poole is on the verge of being locked in the top 12 in points, needs to have a clean run tonight as he goes back to the lead. And Justana Sogak, he's back, I think, outside the 30th spot in points, somewhere around there. He's just vying for a win just to have an improvement on the season and a good outlook towards the end of it. Meanwhile, Delonte Ballard also looking for a win, wants to be on the same page as Anna Sogak, trying to get a win and have a better outlook towards the end of the season.
Again, there's only one driver in the top 10 right now on the racetrack that is locked in. That's John Furness. Everybody else needs to either win or point their way in. JT, Brendan Bowie are of those two. Everyone else with the white background, they have got to win or point their way in. As we rocket out of turn 4, we're quickly approaching 30 laps to go and about 25 minutes worth of racing, and this is going to ramp up way quick. We've got 2 distinct strategies, and we've seen this story before, Connor, different seasons in the past. This is not a new situation to have this 2-stop versus 1-stop dichotomy that we've got, but the way this race is played out, I'm not sure that those drivers that made that 1-stop have to save enough for the 2 stops to catch up, as you pointed out in a chat.
I just don't think so. I don't think they're going to have to lose so much time doing so, as a little wiggly for the 26 of Poole. But I don't think the thing is, with the 2-stoppers, they pit a little later than what I would want to do as far as splitting it a little more evenly. it makes me think that they're going to try to just stretch the field at the longest, so they're going to give themselves a lot less time to catch the one-stoppers if they commit to that. As they say, that Poole goes to the apron and pits, so these guys are going to try that strategy.
Oh, boy.
I just don't think they can gain enough time. He's going to hit the cone. Chapman didn't get a penalty. I don't think Danny Ware will. Everyone else in clean. Shane Therian missed his stall badly, though. He had stall number 1.
Not going to work out for them, but onto the pit lane with 30 laps to go. So they'll be done. They'll be done with pitting, and they can just focus out the windshield. But there's still a lot of strategy left to play out, and I don't think anybody really knows how or which strategy is going to work the best.
We'll just have to see it. We're just going to have to start time watching, as we always do here, as these drivers at the front are going to battle it out. It's kind of split up the pack. Matthew Bell's leading that single file line. He's a little far off. I think he'll catch back up, but a little bit more spread out here, as we haven't talked about the 43 at all. Locked in on points. Kind of a heartbreaker last season as far as the playoffs were concerned. Bad race at Richmond pretty much took him out of contention as Durham tries to squeeze into the bottom, but looking for a revenge this season. Locked in, just looking for the win, but also just riding in line. He's now 11th after the latest round of pit stops, and just kind of hoping, waiting for his time to get to the front as the 88 takes the lead.
Yeah, he's one of a handful of drivers that can safely walk out of this race locked into the playoffs without anything happening to him finishing position, where he wrecks out or finishes second, already locked in. Going to be focused on the playoffs next week that begin at Bristol. As we see up front, Anna Sogak looking for the lead, but back here, the 6 of Munsell. He's made his final pit stop of the day. It's in between the 10 of Elwood and the 37 of Richard Thomas.
Yeah, they kind of came out fragmented here in a couple little micro packs, and it's going to take them a while to get back sorted as the leaders continue to run times in the low 50 or the high 51s. So I think in the short term, this pack's going to run them down a bit. But if they can get organized and run a nice, neat, tidy single file, Connor, they've got the opportunity to gain some time, but we'll see.
Just have to see how slow the pace will get. It always depends on the pace that this lead pack is putting down. And if we start to see it drop, then maybe we'll start to count those 2 stoppers back in. But it really all depends on how much the leaders want to control the line. JT Poole, I don't know if he's lifting all that much. He's still going 182 down the back straightaway, and still fighting the 88 for the lead. So I don't necessarily think that they're really saving anything right now. It's just all a matter of who's leading and how they want to control the pace.
See him just buying his time, pushing the bumper of Anna Sogak through the turn and down the straightaway, but trying to save as much fuel as he can. He is going to have to make another pit stop, so to say. That goes to the outside, and he's going to look to lead this lap. Still going to try and lead the most laps and get as many bonus points as he can, as he was just barely on the playoff grid heading into this race. So if any issue arises from the 26 of Poole today, if he has that extra bonus point for leading the most laps, that could make the difference between him making or missing the playoffs.
John Furness in the 28, getting a bit of a push on the outside, and assistance from Ryan Swan. Hunter, this was your pick, and here he is running 4th with about 25 laps to go.
Yeah, Swan, the only driver to win at Talladega from the pole, and looking through the laps that he led 8 laps in Season 2, and Season 4 he led 2 laps en route to his win in the Pro Series. But he's looking to do it for Dale and get win number 3 in the Pro Series and win number 4 overall in his area career.
John Furness kind of got shuffled out of that. Was helpless, but Anna Sogak popped out, then popped right back in, so he'll be still on the outside without any assistance. And checking back on lap times, 51.7 for Munsell last time. That was quicker than the leaders, but not by a ton, about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, that pack is about, trying to look exactly, last time by they were closer to 38 seconds behind, so we're at 25 laps to go. They got to gain over like a second per lap or something like that to make that time back up. So this front line, if they have to save a little extra fuel, they have a gap to work with, but you can't overdo it. They have to all be kind of talking to each other and, kind of formulating how fast or how slow they want the pace to be. So they got to work together, all these guys, a little bit if they can't make it very easily. I think you're starting to see some drivers kind of play some fuel games, because Swan, Hannah Sogak, JT Poole are breaking away, while Delonte Ballard is kind of hanging back a little bit.
Oh, so many questions, yet very little
No
answers.
Like a math test. guys ever have a math test, whether it was high school or college, where you genuinely didn't know anything?
A couple of times I did.
Yeah, I've been
Probably.
there. It's not a fun feeling. I don't like that feeling.
No, it's not.
And I like math.
I did. But it has been a while since I've enjoyed it. Steve Durham in that one, popping out of line here. Again, no assistance from that inside groove. If I'm trying to save fuel, I want to be tucked in behind and not making any passes right now, Connor.
I think the issue is he's trying to find a way in at the front of this line, and he can't figure it out. No one will let him go. We're definitely starting to see some games as we hit 25 to go, as JT Poole, Justin Sogak, Ryan Swan kind of throwing caution in the wind, pulling away, not worrying about the fuel saving, but you see Delonte Ballard was 0.4 of a second slower, kind of letting those three go, and now it's the 21 who's really controlling the pace of the leaders. He's still running fast enough to the point where Justin Munsell in that line is not much faster, but it creates more stack-ups when this happens, and if you're not ready for the stack-up, that's what could cause this yellow. That's what I'm sure those top three, plus the guys who two-stopped, are hoping for.
Durham went from, well, he still hasn't found a hold yet. I was going to say, he was running about 6th or 7th on the racetrack, so he's falling like a rock, going to be outside the top 10 now. Not sure what the strategy call was there for the one, but it's going to be around mid-pack or so before he gets another opportunity to fall in line.
Yeah, looking at lap times again, keeping my eye on the guys leading that other group. I'm not really liking their lap times. 51.8 to basically everyone in the top 10 was under 51 seconds. So not only are they faster, or not faster, they're actually quite a bit slower right now. And, I mean, maybe they're just hoping and praying that these guys are going to run out of fuel, but JT Poole is not holding back. He's full throttle in it right now and just dragging along the 88 of Sogak. I just wonder if he's given up.
I thought I heard JT saying over the radio, I'll gladly lose this race because he doesn't like saving fuel.
I mean, I'm with him on that. As a driver, I hate doing that, but
it sucks. But I do get it, but we'll see if he's true to his word. You don't really want to do that in this situation. Only 1 point to the good.
No.
If he falls back to like 40th, who knows what could happen. But I was going to try to take a note of what the points, just kind of what the picture is. Poole's leading, that's great. Obviously, Beckner's out, didn't show up. Clayton Montgomery, he's up here, currently not up there. He's one of those two-stoppers in 33rd. If this two-stop doesn't work out, the position he would have gained on Beckner might not go to him. But the good news for him is Bryce Senecek's in the same scenario and in a worse scenario because he's got almost no help. The 09's back in 29th on his own with Jeremy Miller. But then it goes to Justin Munsell, who's part of the two-stoppers. He's 26 back coming into tonight. He could be a threat. Nico Garcia, he's kind of in a bind as well. He's far out. Then you get Garrett Grant, Ed Robertson, a few others that need a win and could really shake this thing up. And you can't forget about David Weishart, who's still lurking in 16th, who needs big points to get his way in.
How many laps has Poole led?
JT has led 30 of the 65, and left-hand side of the screen you can see how many everyone else has led. 4 for Sogak, 5 for Furness, 3 for Bowie.
Here comes Steve Durham again.
Doing all he can. But Poole has led the most by a very large margin, and very quickly. I don't think anyone else is even have a chance to. I think this lap he'll actually solidify that point for most laps led, because there's only 20 laps to go, and no one else has led more than 5 laps.
Here goes Steve Durham for the lead. He passed everyone. Unbelievable. He's going to lead this lap. He's very clearly he's not willing to save either. And Sogak's going to push his teammate by JT Poole. He does get in front of him. As now Ryan Swan got by Delonte Ballard. And now we're starting to see drivers who are not happy with the pace kind of go to the front. Matthew Bell, Shane Abbey, they went to the top side to maybe lead this line as well. So this is what happens when you get everyone single file trying to save. If there's a group of drivers who don't like the pace they're putting down, they will make these passes and kind of scramble things up a little bit for the rest of the drivers trying to save. Cameron Hearn's another one who's kind of slowing the pace of this pack down a lot.
Last time by, 52.6. That is basically a full second off what that two-stop team is doing. The front runners are still running in the 51, or Steve Durham just ran a 51.2. So certainly that second group led by Cameron Hearn is not happy with the pace. They've slowed it way down, and now that second group can start to run them back here, Hunter, but 20 laps to go. Make that 19 this time through. It's getting down to crunch time.
Yeah, some of these guys, it's getting to the point where they can only sit back for so long before having to get into offense mode. They've been in defense mode for quite some time, and they're ready to tick that dial up a notch. They want to get up towards the front. That's why we see the 43 of Bell, the 50, the 84 of Abby in fifth, moving up towards the front. Bowie, Falliker, and then another car, Chris Rabel, to the outside. And we're starting to regain this top three in sight as Durham now falls outside the top three, and back in the lead is Anna Sogak in the 88.
18 laps to go, and so much still left to sort. Who knows how this is going to work out? Just for reference, the leader of that secondary group that is on the two-stop strategy is Alan Elwood. They're on the middle of the back straightaway right now, 39 seconds behind Justin Anasogak, who's in the middle of 1 and 2. So, Connor, there is a lot of work left to do.
Oh, man, they are starting to get squirrely with the drivers getting to the front, though. It's going to be the yellow right now because you got drivers wanting to go, other drivers not. We're 3 wide of a lead with Poole in the middle now. Bowie's pushing Durham by, who's been a little squirrely today. But yeah, they're not gaining nearly enough time. They got to gain almost closer to 2 seconds a lap. So you need something to happen at this point. The place just need to get dramatically slowed. And guys like JT Poole, Brandon Bowie, I think are in binds. But JT Poole, he pit lap 39 or so. He's not going to make it at this rate because he's been running full throttle. So the caution he's hoping for, got to make sure you're not at least in that caution.
Yeah, some of these guys they're going to be looking to make their pit stop with around 5 to go, maybe a lap or so earlier or less. But man, oh man, I can't fathom what winning strategy is going to come through with this race.
I would almost argue that if you were to accidentally get tangled up with an itchy wrist on the front straightaway and spin through the grass, I would almost fathom that would be a less bad outcome with an EOL than running out of fuel.
Yeah, the thing is with these one-stoppers, they don't want to cause the yellow because the guys who have already pit, they'll stay out and assume track position unless you stay out, but then you run the risk of being very low on fuel, and if you get a green-white checkered, then it gets even worse.
If you do it sooner than later, at least you get everyone reset together on the track. If you pit out of here, you're in trouble. So we'll see how it pans out, but just as reference.
He gets turned. Still on the apron, no yellow yet. He comes up. There it is, caution's out.
Wow.
I don't quite know what Steve Durham was doing there.
All right, let's have a look at it. That one caught me off guard. First caution at lap 70.
And it comes from this front pack who are just kind of biding their time trying to save fuel. Durham, Poole gets the run. Durham's going to block it rather late. And JT Poole.
I always say blocking at super speedways, there's no rules about it because it is always a self-enforcing policy.
I will say so. I just don't understand the thought process. He was squirrely already a long time, and it's just a late block.
Yeah.
JT did everything he could to try to he was outside and couldn't. Thankfully, no one else involved besides Durham and even his teammate Anasogak got a little piece of it. That doesn't make sense to me. It's just really, I don't have a better term, so I'll just call it dumb, because that's what I thought that was. That was really not smart
I don't
at
have
all.
a better term for it, so I'll call it dumb. There's the quote of the day as the caution's out at lap 70 for the first time in this race. And Hunter, as Larry Mack and Darrell Waltrip used to say, this changes everything.
Sure does. What's going on there? Bowie and Rabel, why are we so spread out? What's going on?
That's a good question.
They're waiting to catch it. I don't know. Taking a while to catch up, I suppose.
Maybe because it was in turn 1, the pace car had gotten a big launch on him, I guess.
That's a good point, but it looked a little odd seeing Bowie and Rabel like they almost ran into each other.
Just about. This will bring everyone at the front down.
Yeah, they were really spread out, and then I think Rabel was just kind of not paying attention there for a second, and disaster averted. Tesla Autopilot came in handy there for a second.
This has split strategy. A lot of front runners pit, but we do have some of the drivers kind of risk tempting fate. Matthew Bell is staying out with Shane Abbey. Furnace, Euroshack, Jordan Martin, a few others come down as well. But
overslid his box just a bit.
Oh, Greg Mitchell and Brandon Bowie almost came together as well.
So cars rolling in and out, and this would just be a lot of fuel only topping off at this stage.
We're gonna spice some things up on that playoff cut line. It was already pretty intense.
Well, now look at the top 10, Hunter. We've got 5 of the top 10 that are locked in, and the other 5 are not at all.
And one of those drivers inside the top 10 is David Weishart. If he stays where he's at right now, I would assume that he's in a good spot to be locked in because he entered this race outside the top 20. Where he's running now, I would assume he's inside the top 20 in points. And with his win earlier this season, he looking in a good spot right now to possibly clinch a playoff berth.
Yeah, certainly. So, you got, we're going to have probably 12 laps to go, maybe 11 when we get the restart here. I think it's very likely we get another caution. I'm looking at guys like David Weishart in the 33. He has just got to play it safe. He's up in the top 10. This would put him in the show. This would put him in the playoffs, but he's got to stay here. If he gets caught up in some other mess at the tail end of this race, that would be a horrible way to end the regular season with a win on the record book, but no ability to compete for a championship. That'd be a big disappointment. So we'll see what he does here and how he tries to stay out of the mess that will almost inevitably happen up here at the front. So cars gearing back up here. We should get the 1 to green this time by. Connor Urashak is also up here back in the top 5. Where's that 73? Of Jake Nichols. And so, Connor, we're going to restart with just over 10 laps to go. And I was just talking about David Weishart. What does he do? Because he's got to stay out of trouble, but he can't just drop to the back.
I mean, he's got to run at the front. I mean, you got to be careful, so I understand that. But in his situation, he's a big enough amount of points behind to the point where he does have to race pretty aggressively. He came in tonight 14 points behind that top 20 cut line that he's chasing. So that's a lot of positions on track that he needs to gain. So he can't really afford to finish just top 10 or something. He has to run at the front and compete for this win. So, this is your season at this point. This is a chance to compete for a title. It's either that or you're done. So I don't know if he's got to be too conservative. This is not a situation where he needs to just kind of ride for points. He almost needs to win this race with the position he's in. At least top 3 or top 5 he's going to have to get. So I think he's going to be pretty aggressive here.
Before we get back to green here, race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. It's going to get spicy here in a second. We'll need some more Rick's Hot Sauce. Might actually be the cooler of the situations here momentarily.
Trying to see how our picks are doing. I don't think he got too much damage. He's still 14th. Where's Ryan Swan in this all? He is 21st. I don't remember who'd you pick, Kyle?
I picked Mason Kane. I'm not doing so hot.
He's 15th. He's up there. Technically doing better than Hunter's pick, but it really shakes things up now because now you have Weishart in the odd points position. JT Poole is now 20th, so he's a little further back. He came in on the cut line, but with no Beckner, it should be interesting. Clayton Montgomery is 31st, and he cannot afford this bad of a points night if Bryce Senesack or Justin Munsell are running at the front. Munsell is going to restart 37th, though, so that helps him. Bryce Senesack's up in 22nd, though.
Well, time to go racing again. One caution at lap 70. It probably will not be our last here for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. The championship is in the balance for a handful of drivers that just want the chance. Here we go. 12 laps left at Talladega. Green flag back in the air.
All that single file running's out the window now.
Yep, it's going to be 3 wide, high wide, and handsome already in the back. We're getting 3, 4 wide even trying.
It's not Miller. I don't know if he pulled a Kyle Busch or what, but the 37 got in front of him. They got to run, so Miller's just trying to hope he gets laps back. Didn't even know the lucky dog was there, but Danny Ware still on a lap down, as it's crazy front to back now, as now it's Matthew Bell, Shane Abbey trying to control this race. As Bowie, he goes the first one to that third lane. It's important to be the first one to the third lane, and him and Chris Rabel have worked so well together up there today.
Abbey looking to steal a win from Matthew Bell on the bottom, and David Weishart just trying to stay in front and get as many points as he can. Just want to stay out of trouble. But here comes the 9 on the outside, looking to make it 3 wide potentially for the lead.
Yeah, Shane Therian, really aggressive move to jump up ahead of Bowie. That 23 has been just a rocket ship on the outside all night tonight. So he's been paying attention, Therian has, and knows that 23 will be going forward here in the last 11 laps or so. The 33 leads the outside lane. Shane Abbey on the inside. He was almost jumped on the back straightaway all the way back at lap 14. But here he is leading this thing with 11 laps to go.
A few cars blinking at the background, but yeah, we've seen a few mini incidents today. It's all kind of formulating into something that could be crazy.
Whoa,
as
the
we're
4.
gonna get
Cameron Hearn was really sideways in 3 and 4, Connor. Sorry.
even on the new tires, that entry can be tough as we get closer to a little bit later in this race. It's going to get wild. The bumping is what is my big concern. The bumping is going to get more aggressive. You're almost going to completely not have any caution when bumping. You're just going to slam people at this point coming to 10 laps to go. So the bumps are going to get worse and more aggressive, and it's going to spell calamity, I would think, as even on the top side with the 9, the 23, it's getting pretty intense.
Sort of the blocks, too. If you have enough room to make a block for the lead, like, say, Abbey or Matthew Bell up here, if you go to make a block and you're off by just a slight bit, could result in a big
trouble.
one.
The 73's turned around. Crash, back straightaway, huge crash.
Oh,
the Ada
gosh.
Slaughter, horrific crash on the inside. And that might be, do we say it, Connor?
I think that might be a big one.
The big one.
I think Nico Garcia's in it. He was 30 back. Jeremy Miller, I saw about 3 David Weishart, maybe 4 David Weishart racing cars in it with Nichols. But Jake Nichols, his car, he has no rear bumper, but that was a huge crash in the middle of the pack.
Starts with, I think, Wineland and maybe the 8 as well. But, man, that's a big mess.
Oh, and he got hit again. That's where Nico Garcia got the damage. Jeremy Miller somehow gets involved in this. Where did this? Let's see where this starts. Oh,
the
stack
8
up.
into the 66. And then watch this impact.
Oh, gosh. Did a wheelie hit so hard. Then there, again. Garrett Grant and Eric Wineland had big hits as well. It's what you see there, Hunter. It looked like there was some stack up in the middle lane. It went all the way back here.
Oh, yeah, and it was that last bump from the 8 into the 66. And then taking a little flight, doing a little wheelie there, the Ada Slaughter. Senesac was involved as well. That's not going to be good for him. Elwood was also involved. I think he just spun out, though.
That is a nasty, look at that. It's 4 tires off the ground, and then he's going to get hit again right there. And then gets sent right back into the fence.
I gotta say, Clayton Montgomery, that's one of, I don't think he got much damage, but he looked like he was in the absolute middle of that entire wreck. If he makes the playoffs, this is like move of the season, because I don't know how he got through this where he was. Just kind of ahead of it. Well, he did get a little hit, but for the most part, he got through there.
Yeah, 66 is just kind of got caught in the middle here. Watch the blue and white car here, center screen. And he tangled with the 5.
Pierre Grant, Pierre Grant was in a situation where he needed to win as well.
Yeah, watch the 73 on the front end of this with Senesac. Go back across the road, tag the 10 of Elwood.
Collected Munsell there as well.
The 2 really big hits are the 8 and then the 41.
Yeah, this is some of the worst hits you'll see at this track, and it comes from Miller. Oh, bam.
One last ride on board in the cockpit with the 8. Oh, did you see the hood of the car go in the car?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Need a new window net.
Yeah, watch this. Right here. Inside the car. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a horrific crash, and it's probably the worst crash of the season for David Weishart Racing. I don't know if they had a car that wasn't involved in that. The 30, the 8, I know the 73 was involved. Senesac's right there as well. They almost took all their cars out in one fatal crash.
Whew. That was a big crash and a heavy one. We didn't see anybody turned over, but probably some pretty high G impacts and all that. That's going to bring us down to about 8, 7, maybe 6 laps to go by the time we get things restarted. Running order on the left, and now more and more of those playoff drivers are populating that top 10. David Weishart included. Should he finish 5th, he'd be in.
Needs to stay up there. He needs to compete for this win. He cannot afford to fall back either, as it's still going to be tight on fuel. I know Bell and Abby were part of those one-stop guys at the front. They did not pit, so there's still some drivers who are in a situation where they've got to make sure they can make it on fuel. You got Jordan Martin up there who could use a win. I don't believe he's close on points, but just needs something to make the season a little better. He is actually saying that Jordan Martin's 21st in points. A win likely gets him in, so that's something to note as well. And that hurts David Weiser, because Jordan Martin's one of the drivers he needs to pass in points to get into that top 20. The other drivers that are right ahead of him are Elwood, who just crashed, Ben Pierce, and Danny Ware. So Weiser needs to pass those drivers in points, but the 38 being up here does not help his case.
1 to green, and we'll restart with 6 laps to go.
By the way, just quick to note, Kyle, just don't want to say anything yet, but
oh yeah,
look who's lurking in 7th position, Mr. 3 in a row, Connor Yurashak. We haven't talked about him since maybe lap 15, but he's at the front, looking to go 4 in a row.
Did someone cue the Jaws music?
That's what we needed last week too.
Brad Slaughter is being virtually airlifted to the virtual hospital after that one, we're being told.
I'll say.
Oh boy.
Somehow the 41 still running.
I heard they're keeping him in the car too, so it's going to look like his car's still in the air.
Yeah. Well, it's about 60 degrees here in Chicago, but winter is here. Bundle up this season with shop.areairacing.com and shop from our new selections of Champion hoodies, jackets, and sweatshirts. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. This is the HelloFresh 225. We're in the closing stages. We're at, where are we at? Roughly mile 215 or so. And Matthew Bell, Shane Abbey will restart us on the point here with 6 laps to go. Connor, your thoughts? Do we go to the green, go to the end under green from here, or do we get a green-white checker, do you think?
I just don't think so, because the issue with having such a short sprint to the end is that you don't let the drivers, they're not going to be able to get settled in time. That was kind of a product of what the crash we just saw right now. You don't have enough laps to get settled in, so the bumps get crazy, the moves get kind of more out of whack, and it causes everything to go crazy, as what is happening in the 28, stacking things up here. We going green. I don't know. It really stacked things up, but yeah, I just don't think we're going to see this go green. I don't know what that was.
Pace car is off. 6 laps left in the HelloFresh 225 here at Talladega. The last race of the regular season for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series, and late launch past the Geico restart zone. Matthew Bell clears. Abby pulls down in line, and we're back underway at Talladega, Alabama.
First driver to pop out is JT Poole. He doesn't have a lot of a run. Greg Mitchell is going to come up in front of him and try to get some help, get to the front himself. Mitchell needs points. He's only 11 of the good coming in today. He needs to get to the front. Meanwhile, Furness is going to lead that middle line as Bell and Abby try to work this one out.
2-car tangoing down the backstretch. The 43 still leads. Bowie going to give a bump to Furness, and to the outside, Rabel and Asoga going to get hooked up. Meanwhile, that bottom's still a gap between the 9 and the 12, going to get closed up quick.
David Weishart has his championship hanging to the balance. Came in outside of the top 20 in points, and he needs to be inside for his win to count, and he's doing everything that he needs to do. Yurashak.
Munsell to the grass as well.
Grass.
No, Butler gets turned. Here goes Jordan Martin. Just crashing everywhere in the front stretch.
Caution.
Stafford into the wall. There were like 5 separate crashes. Chapman in the wall.
And you know what? This puts us in a green-white checker window.
Yeah, it does.
Where did this even start?
It starts with Connor Yurashak's move, but there are so many other separate incidents that happened.
Let's slow this one down and have a look from the sky. Maybe that'll help us.
Starts even further back than that.
So there's, okay, so the 12s.
He makes that block.
Yeah, so the 12s makes a block. He's on the nose of the 38, middle of the screen, that green and black car.
He sees these two make this move, and he sees the Ballard with the run. He wants to get up in front of him, just too late.
Too late, and so he goes off track, and then the 6 goes off the bumper of who's that car in the white and blue there?
Trying to check.
The
It might
20.
be Ben Pierce
It's the
or Nick
20 car,
Massey.
Nick
It is
Massey.
Nick Massey.
And then Wyland in the 66 had gone around, yeah?
He was.
I mistook the 6 for the 66.
Okay,
I
got it.
think Devontae Ballard then got turned in the middle of the pack.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
right
where the next
here.
one is, off of Mason Kane. And then he comes back onto the road. Steve Durham in the 64 get together. And Brian Hart's carving his way through. What happened to the 1? He just
That
kind of
was
shot across the
another
road.
separate thing.
Oh, he got rear-ended.
Alex Weaver
Collects.
in the Robertson
Oh, man.
and Massey. Massey took a big hit.
37 gets a pretty interesting perspective of this. Let's ride on board with him. I can find him on course, 27th at the moment. Let's take a ride with Richard Thomas.
You're gonna see drivers peel off everywhere. There goes one, he lifts. There goes another, he lifts again. And then there it goes. Then that happens. Here comes the 6. There's the 21.
Wow.
I don't know how you stay focused enough to get through that, but that was crazy.
A lot of cars in a lot of places, but Thomas made it through, and we're going to get likely a green-white checkered here. I'm not sure if it'll be over distance. It's going to be close, though.
It is going to be close. They need to get. They would have to be on 2 to green now to get it in regulation. Otherwise, it will be our one and only attempt. Danny Ware gets the lucky dog, as he was 38th place, so that'll put at the most 38 on a lead lap, bearing any retirements after that latest crash. Is still waiting on a few others to come out of pit lane, but all the craziness is not happening at the front, Hunter. I mean, it is still crazy at the front. It started with the move with the 33 and the 7, but everything's really kicking off behind the battle for what would be the win.
Yeah, and it could result in, if this is the one and only green white checker attempt, it could result in a early ending to this race, because everyone at home and even us, we want to watch a green flag finish, but with the guys racing aggressively in the back, beating and banging, threading the needle more than others in the front, it makes that a little more challenging to have a green flag finish. I hope to see a green flag finish, but with the way they're racing in the back, I don't believe we will.
I think we're going to get to the white, and I think it's going to be like it was on Monday. We're going to get to the white, and then, I mean, all bets are off at that point.
Kind of how it ended last season here as well. So I know that's how the Truck Series race last season ended. Cameron Hearn sneaking his way through to get that win. Could be a similar thing for him. It could happen. We haven't talked about Cameron Hearn all night. He's in 13th position. He was up 28 points coming in tonight. So we did get a workout on that caution light Tuesday night. Maybe we'll see it again, as
yeah, we should preface.
They look like they're doubling up.
They will be doubling up. This is going to be an overtime.
No, this is going to be regulation.
Oh, no, you're right. It will be regulation. So,
ooh, okay.
So we're going to have an opportunity for 2 more yellows then, one that will put us into overtime and then one in overtime that would end the race. If we get to that scenario where a caution would end the race, this light does not guarantee that the leader is in front. We've explored that many times, including on Monday, where Tuesday was it, where the caution comes out when the caution is decided upon by iRacing, not when the lights come on. Those are 2 different things, as we learned. We've learned a bunch of times in this series. There's got to be some record on SimTV for the most amount of caution finishes that were not convention, where the leader actually won the race at the moment of caution. So,
yeah, it's weird that it broadcasted ORL, VRL, other series. It never seemed to happen.
It didn't happen in stock cars. We had a couple times in the Indy Elite Series way back when, once at Fontana, where it happened for the first time. And it was just as confusing then as it is now, although now we've really learned to accept that it is not how it should be. But I understand with the ruling is we're going to go off iRacing scoring because it just makes it simpler and less open to interpretation, even though iRacing's interpretation is, by NASCAR rules, wrong. But that's all right. At least it's consistent.
It's just funny because it's happened so much in area for some reason.
It's probably happened
the bane of
almost
Jacob
half a dozen
Bell.
times. Like I feel like it's happened 5 or 6 times now. It's probably only like 4, but
it's happened at least twice to the same driver too.
Yeah.
And Jacob Bell, JT Poole was kind of a victim of it last night. After Travis Beckner took that checkered flag, anything could happen here. But the main thing to talk about here is that this might not be the last restart because this is in regulation, so things can get wild with David Weishart likely needing a great finish or a win to get in, and you still got to watch out for guys like Anna Sogak, Mason Kane, Villalobos. Guys are lurking here that are going to fight hard for their win.
yeah, they would need the yellow to come out this lap, though. Once we get the white, this race is going to finish whether drivers are crossing the stripe forward or backwards. Green flag, 2 laps to go in the regular season here at Talladega.
Bowie and Furness timed that out well. They got ahead of the 43. Villalobos and Mitchell. The 43 does get in the third, just squeezed in there as it's like Weishart's going to settle in fourth as all the craziness is at the back with drivers trying to get to the front quick. Here comes Euroshak again up the middle, Hunter.
Oh, these guys are going to try and get as close to each other as possible. They're a little more spread out than what I would anticipate as Bell goes up to the middle lane, going to be leading that line.
Whoa!
Bowie goes up to block Furness. Oh my gosh, that was almost a wreck.
I don't know how they didn't.
That was so very close. David Weishart right behind it. Remember, he needs a good finish to carry his win into the playoffs. Nose to tail, side by side, 2 by 2 by 2. They're 3 wide in the background. Euroshak's going to get split 3 wide to the top. The 15 of Alex Bell in the middle, JT Poole on the bottom. Coming to the white flag here at Talladega. 2.66 miles, and we are going to get there. This race will end under green.
Big block, and Sogak put Shane Therian into the wall there as Matthew Bell's clear for the lead with Weishart. Teammates Weishart and Scioli on that 43's bumper, but that bottom line's still there. Furness, even with a little damage, has a push from Brandon Bowie, but they're squirrely in the middle lane. Someone's bumper just flew in the air on my screen as here comes Anna Sogak on the top. Weishart to the third lane.
Coming down the backstretch and into 3 for the final time. Furness leads the way. Bottom lane is moving completely fine. Middle lane and outside lane having some issues. Bowie right behind, giving Furness the shove with Abbey.
Look
Here
out.
comes the move in the turn 4.
28 gets split, sucker hole, middle. Here comes Shane Abbey in the 84. A big push to Brandon Bowie in the 23. They're going to crash. Look out, David Weishart. He gets tagged. Big crash coming to the checkers. Huge crash. Everybody's in it. To the checkers. Shane Abbey wins at Talladega, and it's pandemonium on the front straightaway.
Goodness.
There are three cars tumbling. Someone just killed the inside wall, and through all that, David Weishart didn't even get to the line. He's out.
Wow.
You could kind of, if you know to read lips, he clearly said, gosh darn it, he's out.
Made that 4 wide move to the outside, and all chaos just unfolded just mere yards away from the finish line. And in the end, Shane Abbey with a win reminiscent of just Anna Sogak back at Daytona in Season 4. The entire field wrecked behind him, and he scoots away with a win at Talladega.
Gosh, I am shocked Weishart made that move to the top. It's risky. I get going for the win, but that's what can happen.
JT Poole, third.
I don't know how.
Mason
I'll
Kane,
certainly
fourth.
get him in.
Shane Abbey wins this, overshadowed by, I have to say,
That might be the worst.
the most horrific crash I think I've ever seen in iRacing.
That was horrific. There were so many drivers tumbling.
We will go back and look at it, but let's let Shane Abbey celebrate here. What was his situation?
Not even close.
Okay, so
not part-time, but someone who did have some good luck tonight.
He's 39th
Yeah, he's
in points.
39th in points with 8 starts. This has not been a good season. Clay Montgomery, he got to the front. Eric Wineland wants us to show his on board. We'll get to that eventually, but looks like Clayton Montgomery's going to be racing for a title potentially as well. And let's see where all this starts to happen. It starts right here.
Yeah, through 3 and 4 here. The 33 up on top, and we saw it coming. The 28 had to throw the block. Shane Abbey goes to the bottom. And then somewhere in the middle of this.
Right here, Matthew Bell slams Furness, and it starts everything. Just watch this. Look at how many bad hits. The 54 went upside down.
Hood went into the
The
grandstands.
7, look at Rabel. Is that Chris Rabel? There might have been 5 drivers who flipped.
I mean, this is ugly. Watch that 54 take this hit.
Bam. He gets launched by the 38. Then the 7, I don't know. Oh, the Rabel gets
Rabel,
launched. Then Jordan Martin. There goes the hood. Someone's got a collector's item. I thought I saw the 7 flip as well. Furnace took a huge hit.
I think the 29 had a hellacious ride. Where did he end up? 25th place. And here is... Gosh.
Oh, man, it's already... God, he got so much airtime.
Munsell almost went under him here, but he was right in the middle of this.
Ain't happy, just a perfect run.
He gets clobbered from behind and gets launched into the air like a kickball.
Yeah, this is a home run if ever I've seen one. It's going to be Durham.
Oh, and the 49 of...
anywhere.
Gosh.
He almost did 2 barrel rolls and almost landed it. I could have swore we saw so many... Gotta just dissect this. Oh my God, Senesac destroyed the one of Durham across the line as well.
And then the 54, Ryan Swan, went for a heck of a tumble as well. Let's go back a little further to see where he got into the wall.
He gets hit by Durham again.
And the 7 flipped as well, so that's another one to look at, plus the 38's flip.
Oh, he gets hit in the roof.
Ooh. Oh, God.
Yeah, Durham hits him again. Punches off Lakadas.
And someone was ramping the inside. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah, there's that hit. Ed Robertson.
Door. Oh, my
Holy
God.
cow.
This is the biggest wreck I've ever seen.
Eric Wyland still requesting his on board, and Bryce Senesac.
Davey Hendricks was riding the inside wall.
No, I think it was Ed Robertson.
Yeah.
Where did the 66 end up on track?
He ended up in 24th position. They were these two were at the very back. So let's watch this.
I mean, this is just...
Oh, my God. Gosh.
Oh, man.
That is the biggest crash. I think that's one of the craziest I've ever seen. Only an area. Still want to see how the 38 and 7 started flipping.
38, Jordan Martin.
Jordan Martin, 15.
At the very least, this is crash of the year.
Because he and the 7 started going over. He gets launched by the 65, and then the 7 behind him started flipping. But Jordan Martin didn't flip much. It was really Scioli who I saw tumbling.
That 7 end up on track.
He 18th position for him tonight. He's already done flipping, but I've never seen so many flips in one crash and it not be like AI. 78 went through him. Jake Nichols, then Grant. Look at this ride.
He crossed the line in the air.
That wasn't the flips that you were talking about, was it?
No, I thought he flipped more, but I just saw a car get launched. Villalobos went through so many cars. Look at the 78. He's in the middle.
There. Oh, his car just explodes. Oh, my God.
It works.
Holy cow. Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
All right.
I can't believe what we just saw.
That was insane, guys. Holy cow. Anyway, here's your race results. You might as well have just picked a random number generator at the very beginning. But Shane Abbey wins in the 84. Brandon Bowie, JT Poole. Nobody locked in, finished in the top 10 except for Shane Therian, who ends up 6th, Connor.
Yeah, that's what a crazy run. Clay Montgomery, I don't know how he got through there to get 7th, but he did. I'm almost certain he'll make the playoffs on points because of that. And obviously JT Poole, he needed at least a decent run. Brandon Bowie as well. And Greg Mitchell, you see all those guys in yellow needed good runs to stay in on points, and they will. So great runs for those guys, as well as for Weaver and Ryan Hartz, who both had rough seasons. They get top 10s out of this. And then this is where the random number generation starts, Hunter. I don't know how Jake Nichols, we saw him crash. He got back to 14th somehow.
Villalobos Jr. just missing that top 10, and then Pierce getting caught up in that as well. A lot transpired on that last 500 feet or so, but yeah, not sure where Nichols came from. Jordan Martin flying through the air in all 15th. Grant Bell, Scioli, Euroshack finishes 19th, and Ronson Stafford 20th. Looking at the driver standings, I believe it'll still go to Jake Nichols for the driver points.
And last look down the rest of the order, Steve Durham 21st, Cameron Hearn down at 26th. John Furness was leading coming to the checkers, ends up 29th. Matthew Bell 30th after all that. And there's a list of those that didn't make it to the end. David Weishart went from 4th to 32nd in about 250 feet and will not make the playoffs. Let's talk to our top 3 now. We've got JT Poole joining us in the number 26. JT, where did you come from at the end? Because I sure as heck didn't see you coming, but here you are talking to us in third place. What a drive. Congratulations. You survived somehow all the way to the end.
Yeah, I really wish this race was like 5 laps shorter because we would have been good on fuel and we wouldn't have had a pit. But yeah, I love super speed racing. I feel like I'm one of the better in the league at it. I think we led the most laps today, and if we did, that's our now 4th or 5th area race where we've led the most laps in a play race and we haven't won. So clearly that doesn't really mean anything to lead laps, but yeah, had to lose all our track position, and when it's roadblock 3 wide, you can't really go anywhere. So I just kind of laid back all before. I knew they were going to wreck in the tri-oval or in turn 3. Happened to be the tri-oval. They wrecked up the track, so I went low, and then they wrecked back down the track, so I went to the grass, did some landscaping for Calusa Pines, and came across 3rd. Beat Mason in the line. That was all I cared about. We were having a laugh about it, so yeah, I really wish you could have won, but I'll take another podium finish.
JT, congratulations. Strong run tonight, and man, that must have been one heck of a show out the windshield there coming to the checkers. Congratulations on the P3.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next we're going to talk to Brandon Bowie, who comes home second in the number 23. And Brandon, all night long, you were up there pushing and shoving and being really the top driver in that outside lane. A lot of aggression tonight, and it pays off with a second. Only led 3 laps, but that 23 was persistently up in the front of the field tonight. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, how crazy were those last couple laps?
Yeah, Kyle, that was wild. You know, trying to get prepared, and the caution comes out, and then you're like, okay, reset. You're ready to get back into it again. The caution comes out again, and it's just like, man, it's just like your emotions are kind of all over the place because you want it to go green, but at the same time, you want to position yourself as far up as you can get, which it kind of played into my favor, especially with my two teammates helped me as well. So, you know, that last the last caution, and then, you know, having the official, I guess you would say green, white, checkered, or regular ending. I mean, that coming out of 4, I thought I was gone. Somehow didn't wreck, and just watching the rearview mirror of almost every single car, like, just either being turned or parts flying all over the place. It is definitely a wild picture to look in the rearview mirror.
Well, certainly the second was a great result for you, though. But what's the goal for the rest of the season now? We've got our handful of playoff races, and next week we're headed off to Bristol for some short track racing. So how do you feel about the playoffs from here on out?
Well, unfortunately, there's a possibility I might not make the cutoff race for the first round, but we're going to see how it shakes out. You know, maybe I could pull a win out of the hat at Bristol. Bristol is not my best race at all. But we're going to see what happens, and, you know, if it's meant to be, then we'll move on to the next round. If not, it's been a pretty decent season so far, so I can't really complain.
Brandon Bowie in the number 23 Toyota, second tonight after outlasting the carnage at the end. Brennan, congratulations.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you. And Shane Abbey, Mr. Where did he come from at the end there? Started 25th, and you end up winning. The seas parted there at the end, and all of a sudden the rearview mirror just got cars upside down and backwards and flying through the air, and your Body Armor 84 is in victory lane. How do you feel?
I'm still shocked that we even won. I didn't think I had a chance on the green, white, checkered there. I was just gonna push Matt to the front and hope he can get it, but just the seas parted at the right time, and one last shot from Jordan at the end. Everything just went my way there.
How do you balance the aggression versus the strategy? This race was a bit interesting because we had, you know, the 2-stop strategy, the 1-stop strategy, a caution around lap 70 or so. So what was the primary driver in the direction that you went with strategy tonight that put you in position to win?
Well, I knew it was going to come down to fuel strategy once I figured out you can make it on just one stop, barely. But I was hoping, like, as soon as I figured out, which was like 15 laps in, I was hoping I could just figure it out and just ride around and just save enough. And luckily I made it to where we all pitted that one time, and then everything was just on from there.
Shane, congratulations, man. That was a fun one to watch there at the end, and the big crash behind you was all in the rear view. And margin of victory, just over a tenth of a second, which sounds like a mile here at Talladega, but I think pretty much everybody behind you is airborne. So congratulations. Enjoy this one. You made it to the checkers and with a car in one piece. So enjoy that. Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Real quick, I just wanted to say thanks to you guys for throwing on the show. I want to say thanks to the team, Matt, Alex, Ryan, and Jordan. And then also shout out to Jalen and Matt back at work, tuning in. I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Shane, thanks a lot. Congratulations on a win at Talladega. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Wow. Wow. Let's go back full speed one more time and have a look at the finish from the flag stand and really get the full perspective of the chaos that ensued. Connor, this was a finish for the ages. Probably one of the most brutal crashes I've seen in iRacing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the worst. It almost took everyone out. There were not many drivers that survived this one, literally and figuratively. But you can see multiple drivers flipping, multiple big hits. Just unreal what Talladega provides. We've seen it before on the final lap. Nothing quite like that in the tri-oval especially. I'm sure we'll see it again in the future, but a crazy way for the HelloFresh 225 to conclude for sure. It did get done in regulation, but wow, what a crazy way to do it. And Shane Abbey, somehow Hunter snuck through all of that.
That is the beauty of Talladega, because everyone has a shot. No matter how good you are or how bad you are, you still have a shot, and we saw almost everyone have a good shot at winning this race. Quite a chaotic ending. In the very end, though, Shane Abbey stealing the young girls' hearts just like Gene and Roy, getting the job done at Talladega. And that's his first career win, too. So what a way to get your first career win. And like I said earlier, reminiscent of the Just and the Sogak, where he came off turn 2 at Talladega, Daytona in Season 4. Everyone wrecked behind him, and he just had a straight line to the finish and no one pressuring him, kind of similar to what we saw with Shane Abbey. So congrats on the win, and it gives Shane Abbey a whole new outlook on the rest of the season.
Yeah. Oh, man, the Talladega Banks giveth and the Talladega Banks taketh away. The 33 will miss the playoffs. And, yeah, this track might be built on Native American burial ground, but I just have to dig a hole in the infield and fill it with all the race cars that we're going to have to leave here. They won't roll onto a trailer, and they might not roll onto a trailer after next week's race either. Bristol, where the playoffs kick off, 188 laps for 100 miles next week from Bristol, Tennessee. We'll see you there. Kyle Heyer, Hunter Slempe, and Connor Horn bringing you the action. And we'll see you next week for Bristol All 3 Series for the area playoffs of the Cup Series on Monday. We'll see you next time.